Good evening, everybody. How you all doing? Welcome to the Penfield Community Victory Garden monthly meeting. First off, before we start, we have a new member. Andrea Moore has graciously volunteered to be our secretary. Yay, Andrea!
Yay. Thank you.
So she'll be here and be helping us out and taking our notes and minutes because we always forget something. So we'll start off initially with our approval of our minutes from October. Did anyone have a chance to review them and check them? And
I sent those minutes out when I sent the agenda out, because at that time we were without a secretary, so
it looked good, but do we have any comments, omissions? All right, so I will call to, do we have someone to make a call for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Yes, I'll make a second.
All right, so those are done. You can pop them up on the, all in favor? Thank you. Work rules. All in favor? Aye, all right, let's go.
I don't even know.
Aye.
And post those guys up on the site. All right, we have a couple general garden news and updates today. The first one is the garden update letter, which I believe all the gardeners have probably received last week. Dot and I put it together a couple weeks ago, kind of listing everything that's been done so far. You want to do a little summary on it, since Dot was lucky enough to be the one to type it all up?
Sorry. Yeah, I just went through the months and wrote what the garden did, kind of did it in the way that we do our board, our yearly board meeting. And part of it was just, actually came from something a gardener had mentioned, like, oh, you know, you do these great board meetings in January, February, but gardeners maybe don't see them. So why don't you somehow get them that information? So I sat down and did it.
Yep. We sat down, we went through a bunch of stuff, and, you know, we've accomplished a lot. If you've had a chance to read that, the list of accomplishments, it's amazing how much we actually get done, and that's only the big things, just the general growing, and if you drive by right now and look at the garden, it is stunning. And it's still producing like crazy. Although this weather doesn't improve, I think we're going to be short-lived on what's left. Thank you, Dot.
You're
and
welcome.
Then we also had a new activity thought of and brought to you by Dot, and we had a number of us work on it. The pumpkin walk, which I believe will become an annual event. And I'm again going to let Dot talk on it because it was her idea.
So the pumpkin walk at the garden was October 23rd, and it was a night walk through the little forested area that was just kind of really redone by Scout Eagle. I believe she has finished her paperwork. Becca,
She's just been
she's
approved.
official. She's been approved. So it's first female Eagle Scout in Seneca Waterways. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. There is another one. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I mean, it was a great event. It was a free community event. We intend to do it again next year. We had a lot of help from our community, Best Buddies Club, National Honor Society at Penfield High School, and other neighbors and community members.
Would you like me to finish?
Yeah, I think I've been using my voice a lot, so.
So I'll help. For Dot's been kind of had busy school day.
It's robotics.
We had a lot of help. We had, as we said, the Best Buddies Club, the Honor Society, the lacrosse team from.
Oh, yeah, girls varsity lacrosse.
A number of neighbors and friends on the Gebhardt Cobbles, Parkwood, Wedgwood area all did a bunch of pumpkins. Plus, we had about 25 pumpkins left over on our work day, which was earlier that day. And it's amazing how quickly you can do a pumpkin with a jigsaw. Oh my goodness, we had a blast. I don't know if that jigsaw will ever recover, but it was a lot of fun.
It's fine.
And it was a great event. We had over 200 people show up between 6:30 and 8. And we ended right at 8. You know, it's dark around there. We got a lot of feedback from people about different areas. We had it pretty well lit, but the whole idea was to let the pumpkins speak for themselves, let it be a woodland walk. You know, it was kind of quiet, nothing fancy or glitzy. We ended up needing lights, so I robbed every person I know's Halloween lights, and we strung them around. And we're going to probably put some more up front, but it was a lot of fun. I had a friend of mine, Jean, who had all these little mini pumpkins in her garden. She brought them over, and we gave them away, and the kids loved it. We had Judy Johnson donated little packs of gummy bears, and we gave them out until we ran out. It was a lot of fun, and I think everyone really, 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 really enjoyed it. So it's definitely a positive for next year. So also on the final workday, that was also on October 23rd, we met at 9 o'clock till about 1 o'clock, although we were there till about 2 or 3 because we also used part of that day to do a lot of the decorating. But on our final day, we took in the hoses, we took down all the, any of the parts and pieces of the garden. We put them away. We put away the tools. We moved some stuff around. We did have a couple hoses that will require some of the PVC that breaks, you know, it gets kind of dry. We've lost a couple, so we're going to have that replaced in the spring. But it was a pretty good work day. We got a lot cleaned out. We had about 6 beds that kind of had been abandoned. Dot and a couple other workers kind of tore that apart and got them all cleaned up. So it was a pretty productive work day, plus we decorated the forest at the same time. So it was a lot of fun, and we put
the new fencing up.
Oh, yes.
Behind the shelter. And I'd also like to mention one of our gardeners who's been with us since the beginning, who's moved. He donated the perennial items from his bed to our food forest. Yep. So there was asparagus and other things. So he had let us know that he was moving. He's been with us for all 11 years, and he said, you know, you could take out what you want, and he did a good job cleaning it up too.
Yeah, he did a great job. And you're right, we ended up putting in about 20
Yep.
new things in that perennial forest out in the back. So it was great. It was a very productive day, and we capped it off with a pumpkin walk, which was a lot of fun. So I don't see that there's any public participation, and no one's calling in, so, okay, public, they're gone. We have a couple action items. We're going to have to write some letters, thank you cards to Rebecca, our newest Eagle Scout, who did the forest, which is fantastic. It's beautiful. And then we'll also send thank you cards to that same group of people I mentioned about that helped with the carving of the pumpkins. Also, I forgot to add the Gates 6th graders in the science class carved a lot of our pumpkins too.
Oh gosh, I forgot that. My students carved 25 of them.
They used it as, well, they used it as a seed
Science
counting.
lesson.
Yep.
Yeah, I did a scientific investigation with them. We did predictions and all sorts of fun. I totally forgot about
And
that.
they were so cute when they came in. They were adorable. So it was a lot of fun. And the coolest thing was to see all these different pumpkins. And we had a lot of people next door from that development that's next to us, and they loved it. They just thought it was really fun, and they had a lot of compliments about how neat the forest is looking. So we were pretty happy about that. So some financial information. We obviously have budget closing and planning time.
We will try to wrap that up by November 12th.
Yep, get that wrapped up by November 12th. And we have to put a budget together too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about having a budget workday this week and get it to you as soon as you can, so it's on file. Bed registration, how's that going?
Reservation, you mean?
Yeah,
Pre-reservation.
reserved, yeah.
Pretty well. I have, I think, 3 who have given me their registration forms and paid already for next year.
Okay.
I'm holding it. They can't pay yet.
Right.
But, and a lot of people who have pre-reserved, so
So that's good.
I can't tell you how many. I didn't
We-
note that.
Yeah, I think there's quite a
Good
few
amount.
pre-reserved and stuff.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I'll be giving up my bed. The food forest bed's keeping me busy.
Yeah.
And I'm okay, I'm having fun with that one. We have a couple projects for 2020 that we'd like to talk about.
So for 2022, we
Oh,
really
sorry,
have to.
2022,
Yeah,
yes.
we really have to get the compost cleaned up as soon as we can at the beginning of the spring, because it hasn't had any love since, quite honestly, before COVID.
I mean, there's a lot of soil in there.
Yeah, and it's just really a mess. So that has got to be a high priority project in terms of just cleaning up. It's not something that's going to be where we're going to be purchasing anything. It's just really cleaning up. And then just got to try to get a lot of trapping done this winter for our voles. There were quite a few in the abandoned beds that we cleaned out during the workday.
Yes, I watched Dot do the attack the vole dance.
I took a few out when I rototilled that one.
Oh, you rototilled? Yes.
You were the one who rototilled
Rototilled, yeah,
that.
it looks great. Thank you
Thank
for doing
you.
I figured it would neaten it up and prepare it for a new guest.
Yeah, we
That is
happened to
really
notice it.
awesome.
We thought you had done it, because when we came back to do the rest of the setup for the pumpkin, we took about an hour break. And when we came back, we noticed it had already been done, and we made the assumption it was Larry because he had been tilling a couple other ones. So we're grateful for that. Thank you so much. Yes, definitely, winter trapping will be top on our list. A lot of little guys helping us consume our food. Some operational things that we'd like to talk about, our equipment winterization. So we'll have that, well, what do we have? We just have the tiller now, and
We have the tiller, the mower, and
Yeah.
we need to,
Got to blow out the water line.
we have to blow out the water lines. That's on the agenda too. And the batteries,
Yeah.
should we bring them in for the winter, Larry?
Once we're done, since I'll probably use it to run the compressor, we can fold the solar panel down for winter and then bring the battery someplace warmer or
right, we'll probably tuck in our equipment and store it if there's a possibility, possibly the electric equipment and the batteries.
So you want them to pick that up too, DPW?
I can,
Or we could deliver it.
We could
We
drop,
could deliver that stuff off.
because we don't know what day Larry's going to be able to go blow out the lines.
Because that takes a while.
So DPW will be picking up the tiller and the mower?
More, and then we can always organize and package it up somehow, and if they could store it for us, we could bring it to them.
Okay.
Because I think you're right, if it's a little warmer, it's in a better location, they have a longer
yeah, I don't
life.
think the lithium one is as sensitive to winter freeze as a lead acid one.
Right, but I think better safe than sorry, and also because, the garden's kind of tucked in for the winter, it's nice to have the equipment gone. And then we'll probably clean it all up, and as we mentioned, we will be keeping the garden locked year-round from now on. So, and obviously, as any gardeners who have some stuff left over, there's a number of gardeners that have spinach and winter crops. We'll just remind them to make sure that we get it cut. They lock up when they're done. Our water meter, obviously, we're waiting for. They've taken it out. And I noticed the other day that the porta potty's gone. I missed it. I went to work, and then I had to go home. I think that was a great addition, and I would like to continue that for next year. If that's a possibility, we can discuss it as a committee.
I second that.
But we had a lot of, there was a lot of positives, and I would really like to have that as, we'll put that in our contracts for our budget.
Budget.
Yep, and as we mentioned, the water lines, Larry is going to be working on. If you need some help, give us a call.
Well, it might be a little more problematic if we broke some, because you have
Yeah.
to pressurize it in order to blow.
There's
out the
only
water.
one that's
Just one's
broken, so I think what we'll have to do is put a cap on it.
So what broke?
The top, somebody was taking the hose off and snapped the top where the spigot is attached to the PVC. It was only one of them, it's not a
It's
couple.
one, that's right, it was just one.
So
We got to put a new threaded in.
we got to put a new thread on there, and a new spigot on there. I mean, that's something that can be done. My husband's done it quite a few times, but we would have to do that before we blow out the lines.
blow it out.
Do you have a timeline for when you were thinking of blowing out the lines?
Do it any time. Yeah, I was going to ask.
Okay,
Because, I mean, tonight's going to be possibly below freezing, but.
Right.
Yeah, we probably don't want to wait very long.
No, this weekend's supposed to be nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I can probably get my husband out there this weekend to replace that spigot.
okay,
And then once the spigot's replaced, we can blow out the line.
right.
Okay, I'll talk to him. I'm not sure what his work schedule is on Saturday. I'll find out.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so we had a couple held items. It's the same old thing, gutters, rain barrel, bed house. Excuse me, we'll eventually get to those. They're not necessarily priority, they're kind of wish lists and wants. I know that the gutters, we do have someone, Gary, right?
Glenn?
Oh, Glenn. Glenn is working on gutters, and I know he's already done some measuring and cutting, and so they'll probably be up in the spring. A couple new pieces of business that I want to kind of present that I came up with. One of the first ones is, as I mentioned, I've been walking around through the garden a lot, and I noticed quite a few of the beds are literally just half planted. Not like there was something there before, they are half planted. And I was thinking, considering some of our beds are triple the size of just about any other garden bed, Victory Garden around, I was thinking that maybe we want to consider, and, I'm just tossing this up, splitting them in half as a temporary thing. We can just put a board in there, it doesn't have to be a permanent one, but cut them in half and rent them out at $20 a piece, it's half a bed. Yes, they're a little bit closer, but not that much, and then we'd have to label them, bed 2B1 or something like that, just to know what it is. One, I think it might allow us to have a few more extra beds. And I know that some people are looking, we have a number of people who are renting it as a group, already splitting the beds as a team. I was wondering if that's an idea we may want to consider. I know I'm giving up a bed. I know there's 3 or 4 beds that have been given up. I wonder if we want to take 1 or 2 of them and just experiment on if some people may be interested in a half bed. What do you think? I mean, we had a large waiting list. How many we end up having? 5, 6?
I think there were 8.
8 on a waiting list. This would give us, let's say we had 2 beds, we'd then have 4 options, with them having the option of getting first dibs of a available reserve bed at a full one if they want it. But also might be, we have a number of gardeners who it's gotten harder for them, and maybe just half a bed would be easier work. So I'm just kind of tossing it up. We're going to have obviously make our decision by January, but I just wanted to kind of broach that subject. I actually ended up talking to a bunch of other community garden people, and they have this similar problem. It's become very popular, and they've got a wait list. And they were surprised at how big our beds are, and they said, well, you could actually, have twice the size. Now, all of us, most people like the big beds, but there are, as I mentioned, quite a few beds that were half used. And it'd be nice if, not that they don't have to, we can't force them to, but if the bed's available, we can split them. So I just wanted to broach that. Anyone have any comments, any thoughts? We don't have to, it's extra work, but I just was thinking of ways to get a little less on our waiting list, because we have a few beds, but only do it with a couple beds that are available now, that have already been given up. What do you think?
If the people who are on the waiting list are interested in half a bed, then it might be worth entertaining it, because it gives us
Right, and
twice
maybe
the.
we may actually find that there's some other gardeners who would be saying, hey, I'd be interested in half a bed, and you could put the other half of my bed up. So I don't know if that's something, I think we're gonna have to figure out logistics. But
That
it
would
may
be-
open up a few more
They'd
gardeners.
be 8 by 8 then, right?
They'd be 7 by 8,
7 by 8, yeah.
which is still bigger than a 4 by 8, which is the standard of most Victory Garden beds. So I mean, a 7 by 8 bed is still a pretty hefty bed. And if you do square foot gardening, that's, you can have 4 tomato plants or 5 tomato plants. You could even have a couple squashes and a bunch of beans, and I mean, it grows a pretty significant amount of food in that area. So I just wanted to bring it up. Why don't you guys think about it? Maybe I'll send it to the rest of the committee, and
Yeah, we wouldn't be
We'll
able
make a
to
decision.
decide or vote on anything tonight. We don't have
No,
a
but I
quorum.
wanted to kind of just toss it out so people could hear it and think about it. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of thinking of, we're not going to make the garden bigger as it is, as a committee. We're already exhausted working it. The garden keeps us all quite busy. But here, we're not really changing our footprint, but we are adding potential of having more gardeners. Excuse me. Sorry. I forgot
Hey,
my
Nancy,
allergy
it's
pill.
Mark.
Excuse me?
It's Mark,
Oh, yes, Mark.
and I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
You know, and I guess the
Mark,
other thing,
Hey,
sorry, I missed the last couple meetings, I know.
we love you, though. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm actually in Missouri right now, but that's okay. But I think it's a good idea. And I guess if there's a way to, if we decide to do it, if there's a way to communicate that to existing members, like you said, so if there are people that, you know, would like to, that are existing members that would like to split a bed, then maybe we keep, maybe we could keep some of the
Excuse me.
beds that have freed up, we could still keep those as full beds.
Right. Well,
You know,
I think you're right. I think we may find that some people give up the beds just because they just can't keep up with it, and a half a bed may be more manageable. We also may find that with a half a bed, for some people, not everybody, but with some people, it may be something that would be a perfect size for them. And they may find that it's not quite as overwhelming. We've got big beds. I mean, these are good-sized beds, and sometimes it's a lot of work. So, thank you. I think I'll kind of organize an information, and I'll have Dot send it out to the committee, to the whole group, and see what kind of feedback we can get. Thank you very much. And it's good to see you.
Thanks.
The second option we have is, it's hard to have a work meeting. What's it called? Executive meeting, or is that what it's called? A work meeting. One of my ideas is, especially during January through May, April, we're much slower. We're not around as much. What are our options of having every other month this meeting, and on the other month, I'm sorry, the other month be an executive meeting that we could have either at the rec center or somewhere? Sabrina, what's our option for that?
I think that's doable. I will look into the logistics. I can let you know.
Okay, because I think sometimes, I know it's very hard for Dot at 7:30. She's up at 5. A lot of us are up at 5, and we're tired by now. Also, sometimes we need an hour, a couple hours to really hash out ideas and to go through things, and it'd be nice to be able to have it as a set meeting time, and then not have to have another meeting on top of that. So if you could check on if we could meet like every other month to publicly wrap up and stuff, because sometimes we're doing the same thing. We're talking about the same thing.
Right.
It'd be nice to have some work meetings in there where we can actually hash out some of our projects. We've come up with a lot of new things. And it would be nice to be able to have a meeting where we can get a lot of people in there and kind of have a work group where we can get stuff done and have it alternating months, if that's a possibility.
Okay.
What do you guys think about that one? Pretty good? Yes? Okay. So those are my two.
I like the idea. I like the idea just based on the fact that from November, I would say not January, but from November through March, is kind of the slower season for us. We might be working on projects, and our daily information is almost minimal because, the only thing we're talking about is trapping voles.
Or complaining about the voice.
I think that could be helpful for us in terms of also maybe getting some committee members come in to work on those working meetings that wouldn't necessarily be televised, because I know that's also one of the things that deters people at times from being on our committee.
So I will say that what you're talking about is a work session,
Oh, is that what
Yeah.
it's called? Okay, thank you.
and I believe those are going to have to be recorded. I will find out.
Okay.
Because that is different than an executive session.
And then the other question is if there's a possibility that these meetings could be recorded at an earlier time so that they're not, I mean, I know you've worked all day too. So, you know, it's a late at night meeting and it becomes difficult at times to get here for that time period. So
As you know, we have a tight schedule with the Penfield TV trying to get all these meetings in a week, so, or in a month, I should say. That's the issue right now.
Right.
But if we could go to every other and have, you know, maybe just every other month then, which makes it easier for some of us, because we are volunteers. I know a lot of the other committees are appointed or whatever, not all of them, but some are. And it's you know,
But that
you know, and during the summer-
That doesn't stop us if, say, we don't meet in December and then a bunch of stuff comes up, we can still call a meeting, can't we?
yes, we can
Sure.
still call one. Yes, obviously, we have stuff that we have to call and stuff, but I think
Okay.
if we did it, at least for a while, every other meeting, and even during the, you know, we're not always having big, giant things. I mean, obviously, we had a lot of workday stuff. We'll have at the beginning of the season is pretty big, end of the season is pretty big, kind of the middle of the season after the 4th of July, some of our Eagle Scout projects and stuff. Those are all pretty big stuff that we'd like, we want to share that as well. But sometimes it's just same old thing. Yes, the plants are growing. Yes, we still have voles. You know, so if we, so that's one of our thoughts. So we can kind of discuss that, but that might work. Do we have any other new business that anyone might, or any ideas or things that you want to share, that we want to talk about, that we missed? No? So we do have a couple things that we will have on our agenda this next couple of weeks. Obviously, we still have to put the garden away. Solar will be put away and tucked in for the winter. The water will be blown out, the pipes. The town will come and get the machines, we'll collect the stuff and deliver it. We'll let them know when we can come and we can bring it over.
The electric stuff.
Huh?
The electric
electrical
stuff,
stuff and the
okay.
batteries. I just think it just adds to their shelf life. And I think we'll have, what are we in now? We're in November? Mm-hmm. So we'll probably skip December and have a meeting in January because we'll be wanting to know what's going on for registration and planning and budget as well. So maybe we skip on our December meeting? Is that something that we can agree on? Okay, skip on a
Probably
December
could, 'cause
meeting?
We won't have a
But
lot going on.
definitely on our January meeting, we'll be back. And then we can see if every other month is something that will work, or every other month, or 2 months on, one time off, whatever. We'll kind of
So-
see how our schedule goes.
The January meeting would be January 6th, just so that you know. That's the first
January
Thursday in
6th.
January.
Yeah. And that will be, we'll have a good idea of, at least some people reserve and stuff. And as always, for those people who are watching, the month of January is for existing gardeners, first right of refusal. After that, in February, it becomes available for any available beds.
No.
No?
January is available for any available
Oh,
beds.
sorry,
But
my mistake.
But if the pre-reserved folks don't pay before February.
Okay, yes.
Then the beds in February become
Available as well.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. However, we do already have 4 beds that we know that are available, and they could be 8 or 10 beds or whatever, depending on what we decide to go with. So, and I'll write up a letter summarizing the idea of potentially splitting the beds, and if anyone wants to split their bed and only pay half. And there's one more thing I was supposed to do. I don't know, I'm sure I'll think of it.
You were supposed to adjourn the meeting.
I'm just going to say, if there's nothing else,
Well, I thought of something else. Did we need any more fencing material after putting up the chunk that we have?
Oh.
I know timing is everything, but now that we have it and it's up, I found a source for like five chunks of stockade fencing. Could be used for something if someone wanted it.
well, I mean, we were thinking, we've got one more fence panel, which I think we're going to put that in.
Okay, so we have,
But there is,
What about behind the compost?
we could put it behind the compost, which might be
Yeah.
That's,
I
if
like
yeah, if
that.
you have it and it's something
That'll
available.
make it harder for people to throw things into the woods.
Yeah.
The other thing was that at one time we were going to try to get a cabinet or something for the shed. Is that?
Oh, that's right.
They're still there.
Okay,
They
because
still haven't been cleaned
there was
out.
also a shelf, like a 4-foot-high shelf unit, steel shelf unit being discarded that we could probably get for free.
I'd snag it, and if those shelves finally become available, we'll swap
They
it
will
and then
eventually.
donate it to somebody else.
I promise.
Oh, and I'd also ask if there would be any interest for a 6-foot folding table that we could just either toss
Yes.
in the little shed
Yes.
or the big shed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
we picked up one from the Raise a Glass Foundation, and I don't currently think they have a charity who's looking for that. And it's kind of rough. Looks like it's been outside, so the rubber
No, yeah,
thing
okay.
around the outside isn't there.
But it would be great for a work day for holding, I mean, because we're using the picnic table, which we really shouldn't be using it.
Okay, but I
So-
can acquire that and try to get it into one of the sheds.
That's awesome.
That'd be great.
And the fencing, if that's acquired, that would be
We'll
good
take
too.
that. We-
Yeah, in a way, even though, I mean, it's just sitting in the discard pile, so it would seem like if I can get it and bring it there,
We can
even
find a
if we
home for
choose
it.
to not use it, I'm sure we can make it disappear.
Right,
Right.
or we can use it so we can repurpose it, but definitely I think fencing behind the compost would be a really great thing.
Yeah, and there's a couple other spots that we could do, I think. So I think that's terrific. Yes, if you can
Okay.
do that, we'll
I can pursue acquiring it.
we'll happily find a use for it. So that'd be terrific. Thank you. Okay, well, that's being said, we all have little assignments to take care of this next month or so. I have one little announcement. The Penfield Recreation Department is having, or DARE is having, DARE is having their arts and crafts sale this weekend from 10 to 4 on Saturday. Stop on by. There's going to be a lot of vendors. There's going to be a lot of
Penfield Community Center.
Yep, Penfield Community Center, all handmade products and gifts and stuff. So come do some early local, support your local neighbor shopping. So it should be fun. I'm going to be there. So come on by, and thank you all for coming tonight, and I believe we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Woo-hoo.